Coffee House. I'm Curtis.
And I'm Tiffany, and this is our 13 games for Halloween.
This is sort of an informal series where we just kind of take a look at games that we think you should get to your table this spooky season. This isn't a how to play. We're not going to get super deep into the rules. We're just going to kind of give you a basic overview of how the game works, what we like about it, maybe a couple things that we don't necessarily like, but overall, why it fits this vibe and why we think you should be playing it this time of year.
Yep, and tonight we're looking at Nightmare Cathedral.
Oh. Alright, so what is Nightmare Cathedral? Well, first and foremost, Nightmare Cathedral is in fact based off of a Polish artist whose name I am not going to butcher right now, but his works are incredibly famous. They're disturbing, they're surreal, they're, quite frankly, they're nightmares. So first and foremost, you just need to know going into this that this is a dark game. Despite how beautiful the board is, how beautiful the components are, how bright and colorful it is, the artwork itself is disturbing. As far as I understand, the artist himself had kind of a rough life, and he met a tragic end, so that just kind of adds to the darkness of this game. But what is Nightmare Cathedral? Nightmare Cathedral is an action selection area control game where you are upgrading your actions, customizing your units, building fortresses, completing dreams, spawning nightmares, building a cathedral, and then devouring everything off of the board. It's about as surreal as it gets. It's a little abstract. It's a little weird. I've never quite played anything like it. So basically what's going to happen is on your turn, you have this action matrix for your dreamers to choose from. And you have a hand of cards in front of you, and each card is going to correspond with that action. Now, all of these actions can be upgraded, so chances are they're all going to be doing very different things depending on the player and the upgrade. But more or less, you're going to choose one of these actions that you're not already adjacent to. So there's day and night spaces. So you're going to pick an action that's not adjacent to the night space that you're currently on. You're going to move your dreamer there. You're going to do the action based on the card, and it can be anything from moving to spawning more units to building up your fortress, to performing rituals on a ritual track, which is a whole other thing we'll kind of touch on. But basically, you're going to go ahead and do that, and then every other player at the table is either going to conform and perform that same action, or they're going to dissent. Now, in order to conform, you do have to be already on a night space adjacent to the action being taken, otherwise you have to dissent. Now, the cool thing about this is there's never really any downtime in this game because of the way that this works. In addition to that, like I said, you're going to be completing these dream cards. These dream cards are like sub-objectives that you can complete, and the whole thing is you want to blow through these as fast as possible. So during your turn, you can discard as many dreams as you want and draw back up to 2. That way you can keep trying to turn and burn, because the majority of your points in this game are going to come from completing these dreams. Now again, like I said, you're building up this cathedral, so at the end of your turn, you're going to slap a piece of cathedral down, but you're also filling this ritual track that's on the bottom of the board, and this is a super important factor of the game. It's really long, there's a lot of steps, you have to perform rituals in order to do that, and typically what that involves is sacrificing units from specific spaces, 3 of them, to climb steps. Now you can start creating chains by timing the placement in the areas of the board that you're dominating, which can really make you jump up on this track a lot. You've also got 2 markers, so you can move these 2 markers either simultaneously or independent of each other, again, continuing a chain of continuous growth along this track. And you're going to get victory points, and you're going to get special effects, and you're going to get all kinds of boons for performing these rituals. So this is a track that you cannot ignore if you want to win the game. Like I said, you're building a cathedral, so once the cathedral is built, the game becomes something entirely different. And what I mean by that is these nightmares are going to come on the board, and pretty much what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to assume control of these nightmares either through card play or the ritual track, and you're going to want to move around the board devouring your own units, which is counterintuitive. I know a friend of mine that was devouring his partner's units, and she won the game because you actually score points at the end of the game for the amount of your own units that are devoured by the nightmares. So if you think about it, pretty much the way the game works is you're creating this dreamscape that the nightmares now come and eat away, which is kind of wacky. But in a nutshell, that's how Nightmare Cathedral works. Now let's talk about how we feel about it.
I wouldn't say this is a game for casual gamers.
No, I would say definitely not.
I would think if you pick this up or you go into this game, just kind of keep that in mind. I am by no means a advanced board gamer. I kind of just play what you teach me because I can't teach them to myself. So I can handle it. I can get through it. I do enjoy it. I have fun with it, but I do have to ask you questions often. Yeah. So it's just keeping that in mind. It's fun. It is a lot of fun, and I really enjoy it. Just, what would you say?
I mean, it's definitely weightier. There's a lot to keep track of because, like I said, you've got the whole action matrix system on the board. So you're not only are you planning on your turn, but then you also have to think about, if I go to this space, it's going to force me into this night space, and if it forces me into this night space, these are the actions I'm not going to be able to take my next turn. Yeah. So that's something that you really have to think about. You also have to think about what kind of upgrades you're trying to get, what kind of, it's not necessarily deck building, but what kind of abilities you're really trying to hone in on. Yeah. Do you want to go more combat heavy? Because combat, of course, being area control, it's a heavy focus because not only are you fighting each other on the board, but there's shadows that spawn along on the board too. So no matter what, you're gonna have conflict and you're gonna have competition. And then there's the, all right, I've got these fortresses that I want to build because fortresses help me generate more units. But then those come under attack. But then the fortresses are also worth victory points at the end of the game, depending on how high built they are. And then you've got these guys. Which will move along the board and will convert enemy units into your own units. And then there's the track where you're building the Nightmare Cathedral itself, and you get bonuses based on the piece that's...
There's a lot of pieces. It's a lot of moving parts. So as you can see, like, there is a lot of moving parts. And then, like I said, there's the whole ritual track where you're sacrificing your own units to climb up these steps on the ritual tracks, but the units you have to utilize have to be matching the space on the track, so you have to pull them from a specific space on the map that you have them in order to climb up on that track. And then you've got all your dreams as well. Like I said, dreams are vital. So yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. It really is a lot. And now listen, I'm very aware of my board game abilities, but if you want to play this competitively, you should probably be a little bit more advanced if you don't have questions.
And you do have to pay attention. You do have to watch what everyone is doing. Yeah. This is certainly not the most it's not the most complex game in my collection. It's not the hardest game that I've ever played. No. But this was a lot thinkier than I thought it was going to be when I backed it. And I've got to say, especially when it comes to area control, I don't think I've ever played anything quite like it.
No, I would agree with that. This is very different as far as area control goes. And it's like I couldn't even tell you in what way. It just feels different. Yeah,
it's more Euro-y. I almost feel like it's got a much more Euro kind of vibe, especially with the track you're climbing with, like the ritual track, and you're not necessarily engine building, but you are like, okay, if I do this, then I can't do this, and then my opponents can do this, but if I do this, then I can maybe do this, this, and this. So, like I said, the strategic depth is really intense. It's really there. Yeah. Visually, it's just a surreal dreamscape / nightmare. Again, even visually, there's nothing quite like it. I've never seen a board like this. The artwork is obviously phenomenal. The production is off the charts. I mean, everything, the miniatures are fantastic. Everything has a miniature. Everything is plastic. So if you like plastic, you like your toys, it's great. You've got this actual cathedral, like I said, that you're building. It's wild. The upgrade system feels really nice. You can start to feel really, really powerful, and then once you take a turn where you're performing rituals on the ritual track, and you've moved both of your discs up like 4 or 5 spaces in a single turn, it feels really good. Like you feel like you've really accomplished something. Yeah. And being a competitive game, battle is resolved with cards, so you pretty much play a card for each one of your units involved in the battle, and blocks cross out attacks, and whoever's left is the winner. Or if you still have at least one piece of a fortress standing, you automatically win. So that's something to think about with battle too. Like, am I going to get enough hits to make this battle worth it, so that I can take out their fortress, so that I actually win the battle? So it's just, yeah, it's interesting. And yeah, being able to turn your opponent's units into your own is just such a dick move, and I love it. And I wish more games would do that as well. The game also comes with a bunch of nightmares. There's like 8 or 10 of them, something like that. You only use 2 for each game, and they each have wildly different effects. They all behave completely differently, so there's a lot of variety just in the nightmares themselves.
They look really cool.
They all look really cool. The miniatures are fantastic. They get as close to the artwork, I think, as possible in a 3D environment. And there's a dedicated solo mode, and there's a couple variants in the rulebook as well. So you definitely get your money's worth. It's great bang for the buck. And yeah, it checks off. You think it checks off all the boxes for spooky season? Because I sure do.
Yeah, I think so. I think this is definitely something that you should pick up if you're looking for a challenge and you want something spooky.
And you want something thinky. Like I said, Nightmare Cathedral. It's surreal. It's spooky. It's gorgeous. It's deep, and don't sleep on this one. Don't sleep on it, because
no, he's really breaking out the dad jokes now.